Hey everyone, welcome back to Wix Fix. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Ryan, and today's video is another episode in our little e-commerce mini series here on the channel, where I show you how to create an e-commerce website step by step, start to finish. For today's video, we're going to primarily be focusing on editing the product pages in the Wix editor. Now, before we get started, I do want to mention that if you did not see the first episode in this series, there's going to be a link in the description to a playlist where you can view all the videos from this series so far and all of the future videos that will be posted for this series as well. But let's go ahead and get started. So here I am in the Wix Studio editor, which we are building our e-commerce website in. And in the last episode, I showed you guys how to add the store and how to add products and create categories for the products. Now, in the last video, I created 23 different products. And for the page that we will be designing today, we are going to be designing it for product number 23. So for product number 23, I have added a bunch of additional images, a video, I added additional information, and I made the product on sale. So this should give us a lot of content to show you all of the different things that you can edit on the product page. Now, I do want to mention that there are like a million different things you can change and edit and design in this, so it's going to be pretty hard to showcase every single thing, but I'm going to do my best to show you guys kind of the main principles for everything that you can do with the new e-commerce pages in Wix Studio. Also, in the last video, I did mention that most of this series is going to be completely identical whether you're using Wix, Editor X, or Wix Studio. And what I will say is for Wix Classic and Editor X, the product pages may not have as much customization as we do here in Wix Studio. One of the main selling points for Wix Studio was these really nice custom product pages that are completely customizable. So unfortunately, for Wix Classic and Editor X, you may still have like the basic app, which doesn't offer as much customization as we'd have here in Wix Studio. But without further ado, let's go ahead and check out some of the customization options that we have here. The first thing I kind of want to address is this gallery. So of course we can come into the layout and choose different layout options, and there are a ton of different options. For a makeup brand, it might be kind of fun to choose a collage version, something like this, and then we can go into customization and we can adjust the thumbnail size to maybe around 20, the spacing, let's do like 24, and collage density, let's bump it down to 0.5. So now we should see something that looks like this. However, I do kind of want to change it a little bit, but maybe I want to choose something like masonry, and we can adjust the size a little bit here as well. And honestly, I think this looks pretty good. However, the customization does not stop here. In fact, if we head on over to our inspector panel, we can choose the gallery background. We can even do the image container and maybe even add like rounded edge corners to all of the images to make it look something like this. If we wanted to add a border, we could do that here as well to make everything look really cool. One thing I will note that I did not do on this website quite yet is adjust the site themes. So right now it is using the default color schemes and the default fonts that come with a brand new Wix Studio website. So if I wanted to come over here and adjust it, maybe we can choose a different font for the website. Maybe for headings, we can choose something like Montserrat Bold. And as I am changing these, you'll also notice that they're going to be changing here on the website as well. But then maybe for the paragraphs, we can do like Montserrat Light. And now that we are done changing the fonts, maybe we can now go over to changing the colors. So really the only thing I want to change here is the main action color. So maybe we can choose something like this nice pink here. Perfect. So now that we have all of our fonts and colors changed on our website, I think changing the rest of the design will be a little bit easier. But let's go ahead and go back to our gallery. We'll head on over to the border for the image container, and maybe we can set this to 5. Maybe that's a little too much. Let's do 3. And I think that looks really clean. Then let's say we want to get rid of this breadcrumbs and next and previous button, we can easily just click this and say hide on all breakpoints. We can also just click it and press delete. And once it's gone, it's not gone forever. If you think you made a mistake, you can easily select the product page element here, come over to elements, and we'll be able to re-enable the breadcrumbs and previous and next button if we want to. We can also disable things that we don't think we need here as well. Like maybe we don't really want to show the skew here on the page, so we can just turn that off pretty easily. But let's go ahead and start editing the design of the product page. So the first thing I kind of want to change is this heading font right here. Maybe we want this to kind of be our main color, and maybe we want it to be a little bit bigger. So maybe we'll choose like 42 font size instead. For the pricing, when we select this box element, we have a bunch of things that we can edit. Maybe for the strike through price, we want this to be slightly grayed out. And then if we go back and select the regular price, maybe we can set this to our nice accent color, and maybe even set this to maybe be a slightly bolder version of the text. And I think that looks really clean. For the description itself, we can go into layout and we can choose collapsed to have it look something like this, maybe 3 lines, and we can adjust the spacing in between the read more and the actual text itself. But we can also come over here and change the font size. So maybe for this one, we just want it to be 13. And of course, if we want to edit the expand and collapse button, we can change this here as well by setting the font size and maybe even adding an underline if we want to. Now, what I will say about this is the design quantity is something that's already in your cart. So maybe you don't even need this on the actual product page. So maybe we can just delete this one from the page as well. For the buttons right here, maybe if we want to round the edges, so we can come over to corners and set these to like 12 pixels or rounded edges. And of course we can select the different states like the hover. Maybe instead of this one, maybe this one can get darker when someone's about to click it. Then we can go back and do the buy now button and basically add the same rounded edge corners just like that. Perfect. And we can even choose which buttons we want to display. Like if we offer subscription buttons, then maybe we can check out the subscribe now button, and then we can of course edit the design for the subscribe button here as well. But for this video, again, I'm not going to go over everything, so I'm just going to switch it back to add to cart and buy now. Underneath that, we have our info section. So this is what it looks like. We have the ingredients, which we added when we were building the product. We also have details and how to apply. And of course, up here in the inspector panel, we can of course change the design. So maybe for the title, we can set this to like a Montserrat bold. Perfect. Then for the actual body text, we can set this to be like 13 pixels, so it's not as big. And then for the divider, we can even change the border if we wanted to maybe like this dark red, maybe even up the opacity. Actually, I don't want to up the opacity. I think that looks pretty good. Great. Also for the share buttons, I'm just going to go ahead and hide these as well. So I'm going to select this element, select the product element, and we'll go ahead and hide these buttons manually. Perfect. So in a way, this is going to be our product page. However, there are still more customization options that we have. For example, we can choose behaviors, and for our video here, we can say we want this to automatically play. We don't want to play with sound, and we don't want to show the play button. We just want it to play non-stop. So of course I can go ahead and press preview. And once we scroll down to the video, it's just going to automatically play. Now, if you don't know how to reorder your images and videos, we can head on over to manage products. It's going to open up the dashboard again, and we can open up the product. And once this is here, we can easily just drag around our images to however we see fit. And honestly, this one isn't really necessary. So we can just go ahead and delete that one and press save. And now that it's saved, we can go ahead and close out of our dashboard, and it'll automatically update here for us. The next thing I kind of want to show you is different layouts for the actual product page itself. For example, when we have the element selected, we can press choose layout, and we have several different options in here as well. As of right now, we have a 2-column setup. However, we can easily switch over to a 1-column setup if we wanted to. Now, obviously, this doesn't look that good here on desktop. I think 2-column does look pretty good. And as of right now, we have the 66-33 split. So that means this gallery is taking up a little bit more space than the actual content for the product or the about the product area. So we can switch this over to a 50-50. Now I know they do plan to edit this so we can actually add our own custom ratios in the future. But as of right now, these are the only 2 that we have. We can also change the page alignment. So we can have the product information be centered. We can have it aligned to the right and have the images on the left. I think that looks pretty cool. But overall, I do think it's pretty much industry standard to have it be left aligned, something like this. But even though we have a 2-column setup here on desktop, maybe on mobile, we're gonna want to have a 1-column setup. And you can kind of see that it automatically kind of did that for us. But the cool thing is that for the gallery, we can of course change the layout completely if we wanted to. And once again, just like any other page here on the website, on mobile, we can of course just come in here and maybe adjust the sizing of our text elements. And we still have all the same customization options that we basically had on desktop. And the last thing I'll show you about the e-commerce product pages, we now have an app for reviews. To enable that, we can come over to the plugins when we have the product page element selected, click this little plugins icon, and now we have 3 options here. We have the reviews, which allows people to leave reviews. Then we can have the Wix Reviews ratings summary, which displays that here on the actual product thing right here. And then we also have wish list, which allows users to create an account and save items in their wish list so they can buy it later. For now, all I want to do is add the Wix Reviews. And once it's done adding the Reviews app, we have this widget down here, which is really fantastic. But while we are here, let's go ahead and select the Reviews widget, go into the settings, and let's head on over to layout. Now there's 3 different layouts currently. There's list, which is what we're currently seeing right here. It looks pretty clean. Now let's check out large cards, which kind of gives it a little bit of space in between each of them. And then there's small cards that kind of looks like this. I think all of these look pretty cool in my opinion. But of course we can always go ahead and set the design as well. Like maybe we want these borders to look similar to our images up here. So what we can do is come over to the corner radius and maybe set this to 24. The card border, we can set it to this pink, and we can set this up to 100% to look like that. And we can even add shadows if we wanted to. Now, as usual, we can also go ahead and change the colors and fonts of everything here as well. And the last thing we might want to do is maybe for this button right here, I think it's under heading, we can do leave a review button. Let's go ahead and give us a 12 radius, just like we have for the buttons up here, just so everything's a little bit more on brand. And this entire shopping page and reviews widget are all within the same element, and we can unstretch it from the page, and we can right click, place it inside of a container, and we can stretch the container to look like this. And then for this container, maybe we can set like a 5% margin on all sides. Then we could also come into padding and maybe add 5% padding on the inside. And now with this container selected, what we can do is maybe design it a little bit. So maybe for the border, we can have it be our pink, and we'll just make it like 2 pixels in width. And then for the corners, let's go ahead and set this to like 24. So now we have this really nice looking section here built just using the container and the e-commerce widget here. I'm not a big fan of how the gallery kind of switched up its style. So what we're going to do is come into layout and maybe lower the thumbnail size to 12 and have something that looks like this. That way the images aren't taking up the entire page, and it just looks a little bit cleaner and more in relation to the rest of the content here on the page. On top of this, if we go ahead and grab the container, we can actually add a CSS grid and add a row below it. Now for this second row, let's go ahead and give us like 600 pixels. And let's also add like a vertical gap of like 5 VW or 5% technically in this instance. And what we can do is come over to add, we can do store, and let's add some related products here to the page. So let's go ahead and add this. We'll just place it inside of this little section that we have here, and let's go ahead and stretch it. Now under settings, we can actually tell it to show related products, and they actually worked with like a data analyst, and they actually created some formulas that we can choose from here. So which related products do you want to display? We can choose from the same category, frequently bought together, or frequently viewed together. I would do frequently bought together. I think that would be a really good idea for this spot here. And then under settings, we can turn on the title, the product name, the product price, name and divider, which we don't really need. We can do a ribbon and discount name. And then under layout, we can just have everything be centered because that looks a little bit cleaner. Then under design, for product price, maybe we can have this be black, and maybe we can even set this to medium. And then for the product name, let's do bold, and we'll also make this the pink, just so it's a little bit more on brand. Now I do kind of want to unstretch this, bring this down, and let's just add our own title here. So we'll come over to title. Let's grab like a heading 2, drag this out. We'll call this one related products, or we can change this to something else like you may also like this. But we're gonna go ahead and grab both of these elements. Let's extend it out. Then we'll stack these together. And then with the stack, let's go ahead and center it inside of this. Then we can grab this container again, go to rows, and we can set this to minimum content. Perfect. Now, for some reason, it seems like this lost its margin. So let's go ahead and re-add the margin here. But now if we go ahead and preview this product page that we created, I would say this looks really, really cool. And it might be worth adding a little bit more space here as well. That might be the last thing that would be needed here. So we'll just grab this and maybe we'll do like 10. Fantastic. I think this looks really, really cool. But that's basically gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you all did enjoy, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel for more Wix Studio content coming out really soon. Thank you all again, and I'll see you on the next one.